All right, so today is our mid-chapter check study guide review, and we're going to check it together here. So I just want to show you the pages you should be on in your book, making sure you complete these first before checking them with me, because it's a good extra step of practice. And I feel like when you actually have to write out the problems and you're not doing them on Think Central, it really makes you think through things really well. And you can't just check for an example. So make sure you complete page 563 and 564 before. I'll try to hold that there in case you need to pause it here and do these problems before coming back and checking with me. Okay, let's check it together. So number one, a parallelogram is a quadrilateral that always has two pairs of parallel sides. Number two, the measure of the number of unit squares needed to cover a surface without any gaps or overlaps is called area. And three, figures with the same size and shape are congruent. Okay, then we're going down to the bottom here where we are finding the area of different shapes. And remember that different shapes have different formulas for area. Here we have a parallelogram, which is base times height. So here I just take the base times the height, and I remember to deal with my decimals at the end by moving my decimal over twice. And remember that when you're using area, that's how many squares are being formed on the inside. So you need to put the little square right on your centimeters. Okay, then number five is a square. And so this is, or a rectangle, yeah, it is a square because these are the same. So this is length times height, or another formula for a square would be side squared. So side times side. And here I did side times side. I did the 6.5. I turned these into decimals. 6.5 times 6.5 and moved my decimal spot twice. And I had 42 and 25 hundredths of an inch squared for that area. Then the area formula for a triangle is area equals 1/2 the base times the height. So here's my half times my base, 14, times my height, 8.2. Half, 1/2, should be a half, of 14 is 7. Half of 14 is 7, so I do 7 times 8.2, and I get 57.4 millimeters squared. All right, number 7. Here we have a trapezoid, and the area of a trapezoid is that you take your base times your, the two bases, these we consider both bases, your first base and your second base, and add them together, divide that by 2, and multiply it times the height. So here I took my 13 and 18 and added them together. 13 plus 18 gives me 31. 31 divided by 2 is 15.5 times my height, which is 9. And I went over here to do that part, move my decimal over one spot, and we get 139 and 5/10 centimeters squared. All right, number 8, a parallelogram has an area of 276 square meters. So 276 square meters, and a base measuring 12. What is the height of the parallelogram? Well, one of the things we learned is that when you have an area, we can divide by one of these variables. So like for this one, we could take our area and divide it by our width to find our length, or our area divided by our length to find our width. Remember, this just takes us back to like second grade when you were learning fact families. So it says the base measuring 12. We want to know this. The fact family tells us that we take the area of the shape, divide it by a side, and we will get the other side that we're looking for. So this is 23 meters. That would be this height. I should have said base times height here, because it is length. I mean, it's base times height. It's not length times width. because this height, the 23 meters would be the height going straight on a perpendicular line. So here it should be, we can find the base by dividing by the height, or the height by dividing by the base. Okay, so it's a little different, same idea, but for a parallelogram, we want to use base and height instead of length times width. That is for a rectangle or a square. All right, the base of a triangle measures 8 inches. So here's my triangle, base measures 8 inches. The area is 136 inches squared. What is the height of the triangle? So I'm going to use my formula, 1/2 times the base times the height to figure this out. So I'm going to say area is 136. I'm going to divide that by the base. I'm going to actually do this. I'm going to plug all these into a formula. I feel like there's a little mistake here, so I need a little space to show you this. So I'm going to erase that. This is going to be the area.
Good morning, teachers. Just a reminder that we're back to week 1, which is green week for the lunches. If you have anything already out there, please delete it so you can start fresh.
Okay. So here we have 1/2 times the base. Okay, we need to isolate this variable to find the height. So 8 divided by 2 is 4 times the height equals, on this side, 136. Here we can divide both sides by 4. 4 goes into 13 3 times, with 1 left over. 4 goes into 16 4 times. So 34 inches is going to be my height. 34 inches is the height. So what I didn't do the first time around was to divide this 8 by 2 or multiply times the 1/2 that is in my formula. And that needs to happen first before we divide there. So this one would not have been correct. I would have been dividing by 4 instead. And that's where I get my 34. Okay. Thanks for taking the time to fix that one with me. I didn't catch that this morning. Okay, number 10. The height of a parallelogram is 3 times the base. The base measures 4.5 centimeters. What's the area of the parallelogram? So for a parallelogram, it's base times the height. And so we're just going to multiply these two together and move our decimal over twice because there's 2 digits behind a decimal, and we get 60.75 centimeters squared. All right, a triangular window has a base of 30 and a height of 24. What is the area of the window pane? So what's the area inside of here? So we're going to use the formula 1/2 times the base times the height. 1/2 times 30 times 24. 1/2 times 30 is 15. 30 divided by 2 is 15. 15 times 24. I went over here to do that problem. And you don't need to move your decimal, so you just get 360 inches squared. All right, number 12. The courtyard behind Jeannie's house is shaped like a trapezoid. The base measures are 8 and 11 meters. The height of the trapezoid is 12 meters. What is the area of the courtyard? So to find the area of a trapezoid, it's the first base and the second base. So the 8 and the 11 added together and then divided by 2. Okay, so, and I should actually put this part in parentheses because you want to make sure that you are doing that part first before you're dividing by 2, and that's a little different than PEMDAS, so we want to make sure that's in parentheses. So we go ahead and add that and get 19 divided by 2 times 12, and I just kept that as an improper fraction, 19 over 2 times 12, and I put the 12 over 1 to simplify, my 2 and my 12 to get 1 and 6. 19 times 6 is 114. 114 meters squared is going to be the area of that trapezoid or the courtyard. 13, rugs sell for $8 per square foot. Beth chooses a 9-foot long rectangular rug for $432. How wide was the rug? So first I figured, like, here they are telling us this is how much per square foot. This is the price. So if I divide the price by the square footage, right? If I divide this, well, this is not the square footage. We're trying to find the square footage. So if I divide the price by $8 per square foot, that will give me how much each square foot, like how many square feet I have, right? Because 8 times my square footage is going to give me this number. So if I go backwards and do a fact family, I take my 432, divide it by $8, I get 54 feet squared for this cost. So then it does tell me 9 foot long. So I'm going to take my square footage and divide by 9. I get 6 feet, and that tells me my width, because this is a rectangle. So length times width will equal the square footage. Okay. A square painting has a side length of 18 inches. What's the area of the painting? So I started out drawing this as a rectangle, and then I realized, oh, I only have one unit of measure, which is the 18, and that's a side length, so I need to put that on both sides. So I have a rectangle, or a square here, with 18 as the length and 18 times the width, so I multiplied those together, and I get 324 inches squared. Okay. All right. So take that home, share it with your parents, go over it again before the mid-chapter check.